Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles today.
Hello.
Yeah, you're gonna get your woohoo. You're gonna get double woohoos today because we got two dismal Disney videos that we're gonna do. So we're gonna do kind of a post-mortem on the Pixar situation. I did a pretty lengthy video yesterday talking about Pixar. IGN interviewed some laid off Pixar staffers who said that things were not good over there. Obviously, we knew that because they got laid off, but they said the crunch time was terrible and they were being given notes about making the movies less gay, and that was their takeaway from it.
What got me is the fact that she wasn't. Like in the first one, they had her on a date with a boy and everything else. Like it was Twitter and those like social sites that were deciding.
Yeah.
And it was like, but there was no indication of that.
We're going to talk about this because this video is going to be about more of the reaction with Pixar animation, but also the cope that people are having that they don't understand why Disney is doing this. Look, it's very simple. Google New Coke. That's all you have to do. It's literally just that. They tried the DEI thing for the better part of a decade. They destroyed a lot of brands. They destroyed and eroded a lot of trust in these brands that were one thing, and then they decided to change it to something else. People hated it. They withheld their money. These companies bled out. Hollywood bled out. Now they're just going back to formula. They're not pivoting away from anything. They're pivoting away from the content that wasn't their core content to begin with.
And even when they did things that they said weren't, LGBTQ coded, everybody decided it was. Like Luca, for example, the guy that was behind it, it was his story he wrote, said it's a friendship story. It's not about a gay romance, but he's basing it on his own experiences, and everybody decided they were gay because they decided. And it wasn't the truth. Just because you decided that it's that way doesn't mean it's not, doesn't mean that's the way it is.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about this, and there's a lot of blame being thrown at right-wingers and YouTubers, and this is the same thing that they tried with The Acolyte, right? They were trying to be like, oh, it's all the YouTubers' fault, and Lucasfilm is kowtowing to the YouTubers. I'm like, Lucasfilm is at war with some YouTubers. Like, we saw it firsthand with the Star Wars theory thing. They're not kowtowing to anybody. This is numbers, man. This is numbers. That's all it is. We're
going to do a video later about Agatha and stuff. And, and we're seeing the same thing. But again, like with The Acolyte, for example, you basically had the people in general just didn't watch it. And it's not because people, the YouTubers suddenly have all the power. It's because people just didn't care globally.
Right.
It's not an alt-right thing because it's talking about a global audience.
Trust us.
They're not even alt-right.
They're not listening to at least some of the decision. Well, I can't say that completely. Well, we'll talk about it. It's very complicated. Before we get into any further, please subscribe. Check out Clownfish Minus, clownfishminus.com. Join the reef, help support the channel, get some exclusive content, check out some of our merch. Look at this. Dismal Disney t-shirt. These have been like flying off the shelf. Actually, I can't say they're...
I want to make some more t-shirts, different designs. We have to do that.
We're going to, but you can watch the kingdom burn every day. You can fill your glass with orange juice and be like, there it is. It's all burning away. So yeah, let's talk about the copium. I want to go out. I can't believe I'm using that word, but I know
I hate that word. But anyway,
you hate all the trendy buzzwords.
I don't like them because I just think that they're the same coin, different side, and I don't like it. Contrary to what I get accused of, I don't even like using the term woke, other than if it's being brought up in an article.
I don't know what else to call it. I mean,
There's no way you can't call it.
It's gotten to a point where it's a parody. It's beyond parody.
It is basically beyond parody at this point.
Yeah, what it was intended to mean and what it became a pejorative term. It wasn't intended to be.
It's kind of like using Nazi for everything. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or alt-right. Everything's alt-right,
So we've got people out there blaming YouTubers like us for the reason that these companies are pivoting. And look, I can tell you, they're not...
This little loser. Okay.
Crimson Mayhem. Yeah, Crimson Mayhem apparently was stirring up shit behind the scenes about us. And is very weird dude.
Very salty individual.
Very weird. Anyway, no, the reason they're pivoting their Crimson, it has nothing to do with us. Trust me, they would love nothing more than to stick it to the chuds. They're pivoting because they're not making money.
What I was going to say, dangerous, unprecedented future. You mean they want to make money? How's it dangerous and unprecedented?
Yeah, because
they're just going back to what they were doing. That would be precedented.
Pretty much. And again, this is the New Coke situation. They tried New Coke for like 8 years. They gave in to these activists. These activists used social media to convince people that more people were interested in a product for the quote unquote modern audience than were actually interested in a product for the modern audience. And like I said in yesterday's video, you can make products for the modern audience, but you probably should put them under a different brand so people have an expectation and not take existing franchises and change everything and then scream when people decide they don't want tacos from the hot dog stand. I mean, it's pretty simple, basic business stuff. But yeah, they made $1.6 billion at the box office, and Disney's just going to look at this and they're like, "Hey, we mistreated our people, and we gave them notes, but we got a movie that made money out of it. Let's do that again."
Yeah, and that's kind of what they're doing, I guess, with Elio too. So we're going to talk about this. This came from Mr. Milo at piratesandprincesses.net.
Yeah,
and apparently the people that worked on these they laid off, they didn't give them bonuses.
No. So I talked a little bit about that yesterday. Mostly I was talking about the notes they were given creatively, but this is kind of the fallout from that.
Yeah, this is crap. This is utter crap. But this is what I expect from Disney. The company you're all white knighting for and shilling for and saying that, the alt-right hater tried to cancel, hurry, defend them, also treated their team, their people at Pixar like this. And you're going to read what happened.
Yeah, so this is, again, coming from that IGN article originally, and it was very, very long. And I mean, my video was like a half an hour, and I didn't get into all of it. So this is kind of a follow-up. But yeah, a few described the large amounts of crunch while working on Inside Out 2. They said, I think for a month or two, the animators were working 7 days a week. Ridiculous amounts of production workers, just people being tossed on the jobs they'd never really done before. It was horrendous.
Scroll down.
Yep.
And then they go down here and talk about, keep going down. They talk about what happened to the team. Keep going down.
Perhaps one of the most heartbreaking parts of the story was that everyone who was laid off was not eligible for the bonuses. Yeah, that's...
So they worked their asses off.
They worked their asses off. They fired them before the movie came out, as if they knew this one was going to be a hit.
And then they didn't. Right? Then they made sure they told them they weren't going to be eligible for bonuses, even though they worked all those extra hours to get bonuses and get it done.
Yeah.
So they said that, one person said it really crushed a lot of us when we were told that day that we were laid off, that the bonuses were only for active employees.
Yeah, so they could have been working with the expectation that they were going to get bonuses because they knew this movie was going to do well.
Well, they had to, because look, they were laid off before the movie came out. So they were told that day that they weren't going to get the bonuses.
Yeah.
So they knew that they thought there were going to be bonuses. And they told them that day after they got rid of them, they wouldn't get bonuses.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying up until that point, they probably were busting ass because they're like, well, it'll be worth it because I know this movie is going to make $1 billion and I'm going to cash out and we're going to have a real good Christmas that year. And that didn't happen. Yeah, another person commented, Disney invested $1.5 billion in Fortnite. 1% of that $1.5 billion would have saved all of our jobs.
Yeah, they said another person said about executives. I think the biggest feeling that I heard around the studio before the layoffs and now even post layoffs, talking to people who are still there, is everyone feels like the executives are just acting in a fear-based way. Everything is to preserve their own power and their own jobs. So I think morale is really low. People no longer trust that they're being led with the best interests at heart. And another person brought this up, which I found interesting. They learned nothing. And that's the feedback I'm still getting when I'm reaching out to current employees. Right now, everyone's on Elio. Things are exactly the same. They were as they were before. Everyone's working crazy hours to get Elio fixed. Now, interestingly enough, I wondered about this because this was come out next year.
Yeah.
And I think they got pushed back. But beyond that, they were like adding new actors to the cast and all this stuff. And I was like, wait, I thought they were supposed to have all this done, all the voice recordings and all this stuff done. Why are they still announcing actors being added? So they're looking at it and changing a whole bunch about it. They're fixing it like they fixed Inside Out 2. So how bad was Inside Out 2 before they quote unquote fixed it?
Well, apparently, according to the article, they were getting notes constantly that they needed to downplay to make sure people realize that Riley was not interested in the Val character.
Why were they getting those notes?
Because they probably made it pretty obvious.
Because it's the activist types. These are the ones that were like, when Florida, I don't live in Florida, I was doing the bill, they were the ones that were out protesting. So, of course, they're going to try to stick it in there. But it's like, and then you said they did the video yesterday that they're blaming Lightyear. And okay, look, Lightyear failed, and I do believe it failed because you recast the Buzz himself, and you didn't make Buzz. I think that the little same-sex kiss in it probably did turn off some people, but not in the numbers that needed to crash the entire thing.
Yeah.
You're just made a Buzz Lightyear movie without Buzz Lightyear. What did you fucking think was going to happen?
Well, those became the two biggest talking points: the kiss and the fact that they got rid of Tim Allen. And
but the kiss was so tiny. It was like a blinking and miss type thing.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, when that becomes the biggest talking point for the movie, like, it's not like, hey, this movie's really, really cool. It's got like, apparently they had like space battles and robot battles and cool stuff that probably Andy would have liked. And they had all that storyboarded out, and then they never used it.
No, instead we're going to focus on, oh, look, there are two lesbians.
Interpersonal relationships.
And it's like, but it was such a minute part. I mean, did it turn people off? I'm sure some people it did. Did it turn the majority of the audience off? No, not casting Tim Allen and making it a Buzz Lightyear movie that wasn't a Buzz Lightyear movie turned the audience off. But I digress. Thing is, they keep trying to blame it on, like, somehow the vocal minority also has all the power in the world to cause all these movies to be changed. Riley was not coded gay. People on Twitter decided Riley was either trans or gay. And because they decided that, they were insisting it had to be that way because they dictated it. And you have to do what they say. The last 10 years have dictated that you do what they say. And they didn't.
Fresher Luke, who we've actually had on D-Res before, and he said that the animators realized too late studios lied to them when they kept saying the company they work for is really like a family.
Wait, did you now realize that? Did the pandemic teach you nothing? Look how Disney treated their cast members during the pandemic.
Yes, you are literally just fodder. Your cast members is just you're the draw. Your cast members that draw, right? To them, and they are. I'm telling you what's going on though. Overall, one, they're running out of money. After the Pelts thing, especially, I think they're like, oh my God, we have got to make sure that we appeal to the largest possible audience, even if we personally do not feel this way. Yeah, we cannot take chances. And so what we're seeing now, weirdly enough, and this is Hollywood in general, right? And I was thinking about this yesterday. I'm like, the movies that were the biggest hits this year returned to formula, and they really didn't do anything too crazy. We had, Alien Romulus, which, and I know some people hated it, and I thought it was okay. I gave it like a 7 out of 10. That did okay. And we had Planet of the Apes. Again, no political messaging, I don't think, in that one. I haven't seen it yet, but from what I've heard, it was pretty solid. Beetlejuice is like a sequel you would have seen in the 80s. There wasn't any overt messaging in that one. Deadpool and Wolverine did bonkers. Inside Out too.
Wolverine had all kinds of jokes in it and undertones.
It had jokes, but wasn't like they weren't trying to
making out. Yeah,
it was a joke. The whole thing was a joke, and then people were mad about that. They're like, "You're making fun of gay people." I'm like, "No, Deadpool's always been like he just doesn't give a shit."
He makes fun of everyone. Plus, he also has done all kinds of things, LGBTQ or otherwise.
He's done all kinds of things and people and whatever. And then now we have Inside Out 2, which basically got fixed to make it more palatable for mainstream audiences and to return Pixar to what it was. And they made $1.6 billion. Do you think they're going to go back to making Strange World after that?
And the thing about Strange World, I was talking to our daughter about this yesterday when we knew you were going to do this video. Strange World was just not a good movie. I mean, yeah, they did overt, things in the movie about, one character being gay. But the movie itself was boring and people didn't know it. Like, okay, Inside Out 2 was a sequel and they knew Riley, so it was already established Riley liked the boy at the end of that movie. Yeah. Strange World was its own thing. And Strange World, you could have got away with it because it was its own thing. But people rejected it. And one of the big reasons they probably rejected it was families, parents are like, my kids might turn out to be LGBTQ at some point. That's fine. But we don't need to subject them to it when they're little. But beyond that, it just looked like a boring movie. It looked boring. I'm sorry. My daughter watched it. She said it was boring. It is what it is. And it's nothing necessarily to do with, the LGBTQ stuff so much as it was that it was a sucky movie. Yeah. And sucky, I don't mean it in that way.
Oh my God. It was. So what is, well, I'm telling you, I will tell you again, and this isn't to be a dick. Well, I am going to kind of be a dick.
Sucky movie. Anyway.
What is going on is they are using macroeconomic circumstances, macroeconomic headwinds, financial difficulty to actively and deliberately purge activists from their companies. This is what they're doing, and cancel projects they know won't make money. They weren't allowed, quote unquote, to do it 5 or 6 years ago, when it was very apparent back then that this stuff wasn't making money because there would have been too much blowback. But we've seen that a lot of these companies are starting to pivot, and they're just blaming the economy. I think the economy is part of it, but they're also like, yeah, we cannot afford to lose $200 million on another stupid cartoon that nobody's going to watch.
And let's be honest here. If Disney legitimately believed that, it had nothing to do with that, they wouldn't change it. If the data wasn't pointing to the fact that, moving from formula and chasing a much smaller demographic was lucrative, then we would be seeing more of that, not less. So it's all about money. It's not about, it's nothing personal. It's just about money.
It's nothing personal. It's just business. But
you can't say everybody in the world's a bigot because they don't agree with you.
No. It does suck for those animators, though, that they busted ass.
Yeah, no, I feel bad for them because that's crap. Especially that they did all that work and then they said you don't get a bonus. They worked seven days a week.
Yeah.
Did jobs that weren't their jobs. Crunch to get this thing done, and then they got laid off ahead of the movie release and got told basically, oh, if it does well, you don't get any money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just absolute dog shit.
That's crap.
Just
But that's Disney, guys, and people are like, "Why are you?
When they show you who they are, believe them."
Yeah, why are you so negative about Disney, Clownfish? Why are you so? We worked in and around that company for years. We've spent a good chunk of our lives following Disney, working with Disney, pitching stuff to Disney. We know how they think. We know how they operate. It's not everybody. There are some really, really good people at that company, but the executives are the way that they are. And now you're learning, and now you're going to find out that hashtag Clownfish was right.
But Inside Out too, Riley should never have been.
No.
You're mad because they didn't shove your agenda into something that it shouldn't have gone into.
And I mentioned this in the video yesterday, what you need to do in a case like this. I'm not saying you can't make movies for quote unquote the modern audience, but you need to, I believe you need to have a different brand so people have certain expectations, right? Like the Pixar brand means something, the Disney brand means something to families in middle America and whatever. If you want to do something more avant-garde, or you want to do something that's a little more risky or whatever, start another studio and make movies, put the movies under that. Like even I would have put Turning Red. Turning Red didn't feel like a Pixar movie to me. It wasn't bad, but it didn't feel Pixar. I would have released it under another banner or something, but because people have expectations. Anyway, we're going to wrap this up.
Bigots. Yeah.
You bigots. How dare you? How dare you talk about the economy and money?
You just make this stuff and lose money because it makes me happy.
Well, okay, so why are so many of these people socialists, communists, right? Because I think that's the thought process. And it doesn't work that way, sweetheart. I'm sorry. It doesn't. Make your own stuff, put it on the internet, and build your own audience, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. This is how corporations think. We're going to wrap it up. Let's wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture, news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Join the reef. Go to clownfish-.com. That's clownfish-.com. You will get exclusive access to podcasts and videos and comic strips and more, as well as merch discounts. Check it out. If you were a member, you could get this t-shirt, this dismal t-shirt on our website. You'd get a 10% discount on that. You can also join in the community on clownfish-.com. Thank you so much for the support.